In 1938, Esquire magazine published a short story written by Carl Stevenson titled Lanigan vs. the Ants. It would later be adapted into a long-running radio play by writers Philip Yordan and Ben Maddow, which was presented by Escape, Suspense, Mystery in the Air, and the Lux Radio Theatre. Actor William Conrad would voice the main character, Lanigan, for a number of years, starting in 1948 and again in 1957. Louis Van Rooten would also play the lead role of Lanigan, and the radio play would run till 1959. Director Byron Haskin and producer George Powell had just released their film, The War of the Worlds, in 1953. It was decided that Haskin and Powell would work together again for a second time, and saw that the radio play Lanigan vs. the Ants was a perfect story to make into a feature film. They would change the title to The Naked Jungle, which they thought sounded much better than Lanigan vs. the Ants, which would be a film title that would probably sound like a B-grade monster movie. They hired writers Ranald McDougall and blacklisted writer Ben Maddow, who wrote the radio play version of the 1938 short story. Usually producer George Powell would stay in the science fiction fantasy genre, but The Naked Jungle, which was made in 1954 and released in vibrant Technicolor, would be a completely different project. The film's story is set in a cocoa plantation in South America, which is run by a man named Lanigan, who has just gotten married to an attractive, classy lady named Joanna, whom he constantly argues with. The story takes a bad turn when thousands of soldier ants threaten the very existence of the plantation. Charlton Heston was cast as Lanigan. Heston at this time wasn't a well-known star until he starred in the Cecil B. DeMille biblical epic, The Ten Commandments, in 1956. In The Naked Jungle, Heston gives a dynamic performance, and he develops the right amount of intensity for the role. Joanna is played by the underrated Oscar-winning star of the 1940s and 50s, Eleanor Parker, an actress who exudes a great amount of elegance and intelligence in the role. William Conrad, who originally played Lanigan in the radio play, plays the district commissioner in the film. Conrad is an actor well known in later years for his great voice work in a number of TV shows. I remember hearing his distinctive voice on the opening narration of the series, Buck Rogers in the 25th Century.
The year is 1987, and NASA launches the last of America's deep space probes.
To most, though, he is known for starring in the TV show Jake and the Fat Man in the 1980s. The Naked Jungle was mostly shot at Paramount Studios, with the on-location scenes being shot in Florahome, Florida. For the dramatic scenes between Eleanor Parker, Charlton Heston would mostly improvise. His intense acting style would help Parker in her performance. While preparing to shoot the sequence where Lanigan pours oil on himself to repel the ants, Heston was told that oil would ruin his wardrobe, so syrup was used instead. Unfortunately, the syrup would attract every insect for miles. For the scene shot in Florida, where the bridges explode after being dynamited, it was rumoured that a local resident died when he was thrown from his horse that was spooked from the explosion. The amazing photographic effects and cinematography was done by the legendary photographic expert John P. Fulton. In 1945, he would win an Oscar for photographic effects for the RKO film Wonder Man, and yet again winning for photographic effects in The Ten Commandments in 1956, orchestrating one of the most iconic scenes in cinema history, the parting of the Red Sea. The Naked Jungle was one of his first films at Paramount. He originally worked at Universal on classic horror pictures. The wonderful time-lapse photography in The Naked Jungle was a trademark of producer George Powell, but sadly failed to be acknowledged and nominated for Best Special Effects at the Academy Awards. The miniatures, matte paintings, optical, split screens, animation and effects in the film are some of the best of the time. Before its release, The Naked Jungle was marketed as a killer ants movie, when in fact, the ants don't even make an appearance until 50 minutes into the movie, and the film's entire runtime is very short, at just 1 hour and 35 minutes. But the wait is well worth it, where the ants attack the plantation, and the sequence is one of the most spectacular and exciting and thrilling sequences in film history. The Naked Jungle was a moderate success and generated a good reaction from audiences and critics. The film is a slow burn, but nonetheless well worth watching due to the trademark intensity that Charlton Heston exudes on screen. Eleanor Parker is great too. William Conrad and the other actors on this film are great as well. Byron Haskin is certainly one of the most underrated directors of his time and makes a wonderful film. After the film's success, Charlton Heston would reprise his film role that same year in the radio play version for the Lux Radio Theatre, voice acting alongside actress Donna Reed, who plays his wife, Joanna. Director Byron Haskin would work with producer George Powell for a third time on the 1955 science fiction film Conquest of Space, before Powell would start directing his own feature films. The Naked Jungle had an incredible influence many years after its release, and a scene from the film was even used in the 1971 film The Hellstrom Chronicle, and stock footage from the film was again used in the MacGyver episode titled Trombo's World in 1985, where MacGyver and a plantation owner fight an army of ants. A remake was even in development in 2004, but the project was dropped. The Naked Jungle was a film with lush production values, drama, eye-pleasing action, and amazing effects. The film starts off as a slow romantic melodrama between the two main characters, but develops in the last half hour as a suspenseful, effects-driven horror film as the flesh-eating soldier ants converge on the plantation. All in all, the film is more of a drama than a special effects film, but the scene showing a sea of ants swarming over the land is some of the best special effects sequences of the mid-1950s. My name's Jonathan, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and like what you see on my channel, please subscribe, and if you would like to become a patron on my Patreon, click on the link below.